Hi, so I'm Gary White. I'm a senior data scientist at Warwi Ireland Research Centre, and I'm here today to talk to you about MMRCA, which is our multimodal root cause analysis approach. So the overview of this presentation is, first of all, we're going to have some background on this problem. Then we're going to look at some of the related work that we had observed in this area. Then go through our overall design for the MMRCA algorithm. So at a high level, the overall workflow between the individual stages of the algorithm, and then going into a bit more detail about the individual steps within those algorithms. And then we go through the experimental setup that we use to evaluate our algorithm, the results that were generated from those experiments, and the overall conclusions that we've learned from doing this project, and the future work that we're hoping to do within the next year or two. So the background to this problem is that increased observability and anomaly detection are able to alert when something has gone wrong. However, a fault can be propagated throughout the cloud, leading to a large number of alerts. So it's difficult for someone to manually manage these large number of alerts and to differentiate between the symptoms that have been propagated and the actual root cause. So for individual operators, when something goes wrong in the cloud, this typically leads to a large number of faults being propagated through different services and different clouds. And it can be extremely difficult to differentiate between which is a symptom and which is the actual root cause of the problem. So we can leverage a number of different types of data, such as topology, traces, metrics, and configuration changes, to help us to more clearly identify what the actual root cause is. So when we were looking at this problem, we looked at a number of different related works. So this table shows the competitive analysis that we did, which looked at the academic and industry-leading approaches for root cause analysis, and evaluated them against a number of features that we use for our own approach. So the table below lists a number of different companies such as Google and Microsoft, which we're also looking into root cause analysis, and we can see that they tend to use data sources such as topology, traces, and metrics and logs. The most competitive industry approaches that we found were from Dynatrace and AppDynamics, who sort of specialize in this cloud diagnostic software. And they were using topology, traces, metrics, and configuration stores. We found that academic approaches such as Grano and ML Cloud typically tended to focus on specific individual data sources, either topology or metrics and logs. And we found that our differentiation was going to be that we were going to take into account all of these different data sources, but also have an extremely lightweight approach that would be able to return the root cause in under 3 minutes. So that's where our competitive advantage lies compared to these other state-of-the-art approaches, was that we were going to have an extremely lightweight approach that would be able to fit into our 135 model, which is being able to identify a problem in 1 minute, to be able to diagnose the root cause in 3 minutes, and to be able to solve it in 5 minutes. So this diagram gives an overview of each of the individual steps of the MMRCA algorithm. So we have 3 main steps of the algorithm, which focus on different data sources. So first of all, we use the trace and topology information and configuration data to identify the anomalous subgraph of services that have deviated from their previous behavior. So I'll go into more detail of the individual stages of the algorithm within each of these steps, but this is just to provide an overall flow or workflow of how the data flows between each of these different steps of the algorithm. So it's all connected through Kafka. And so first of all, we try and reduce the topology down to the minimum amount of services by only looking at services that have deviated from their past behavior, which reduces the amount of metrics that we need to look at then in metric causality. So this is passed to the second stage, where we identify the metrics that have a causal relationship to failure and that have had a recent change in configuration. And finally, we have this third step, which supports the metric causality. and is in metric reduction, where we identify the random and static metrics that cannot have a causal relationship to the failure and cluster the remaining metrics into groups. And so this really supports the second stage of the algorithm with this long-term analysis that feeds into the metric causality. And this helps us to avoid spending any time processing static or random metrics, which could have no relationship to the actual root cause. So going into a bit more detail in step 1, we can see here are the individual stages of the algorithm. So the figure on the left here shows the main stages of the topology reduction algorithm. So we first parse the trace data, and then we conduct the data analysis and feature extraction to identify the most important features. So we decided to structure the data as a directed and weighted graph, which combine the topology and traces data. So once we've done our analysis and extracted the most important features, we then query the topology graph to identify how the services are linked and the nodes that they are deployed on. So this topology information is then combined with the trace weights to build up a dynamic, directed and weighted graph. And once the graph has been created, deviation in response time, response code and throughput are calculated over the previous time window. And we then also add a weight to the services that have had a recent change in configuration. And this is combined with the weight for the services that have deviated from their previous behavior. And this greatly reduces the amount of metrics that need to be analyzed. And so in step 2, we have the metric causality, and there are four main steps, stages in this algorithm. So the first stage is to parse the data and from the topology reduction algorithm and to extract the most important features. So the data is then analyzed and temporally aligned. So this is a very important step as we can have data which has different sampling rates. So we can see here on the left is an ideal case where they have the same starting time and the same sampling rate, but typically it will look a lot more like this, where we want to compare two metrics and they have different starting times and different sampling rates. So it's much more difficult to temporally align these. So we did a number of experiments for different approaches to temporal alignment, including common lowest factor and dynamic time warping. And we'll go through some of the results in each of those. And once the data has been temporally aligned, then we pass to the temporal causation stage. So we experimented with a number of different approaches for temporal causation, including transfer entropy, cosine distance, and Granger causality. So Granger causality was found to give the most accurate results while keeping the overheads low. The metrics are then ranked by p-value, with a low p-value indicating a large causal relationship, and the weight is also given for recent configuration changes to the services that are being tracked by the metrics. The top 5 most likely root causes with their confidences are then also given as output. And finally, in step 3, we have the metric reduction stage, where basically we're trying to identify the random and static metrics and remove those, and then do some clustering to help us identify the metrics that are most similar, and then we can sample those metrics in stage 2. So in production system, there can be a large number of metrics that remain static, and these metrics will not be useful in identifying the root cause. And so we want to remove those. And the way we do that is by using the standard deviation to identify the static metrics, and by using the KV test and autocorrelation test to remove any random metrics. So once we have removed the static and random metrics, we can then cluster the remaining metrics. These clusters allow us to group similar metrics, and we evaluate a number of algorithms for clustering and found the best results using gap statistic to identify the number of clusters and k-means clustering to cluster the data. So once the data has been clustered, it can be sampled using a percentage sampling of clusters. The time series causality algorithm uses the percentage sampling of the clusters to identify which of the clusters are most likely to contain the root cause based on their p-values. And so this improves accuracy as the most likely root cause metrics are analyzed first. So now we get to the experimental setup stage. So we use multiple data sets, including a mock topology environment set up to allow for a repeatable way to test our algorithms. So this allowed us to inject faults into traces and to metrics, and to propagate those faults in a repeatable way. So we evaluated the accuracy of our algorithm using the F1 and MAP at 5 score. And we also evaluated the time and space complexity for the individual steps of the algorithm, as well as comparing the end-to-end results against other state-of-the-art approaches. So these were the results that we got for topology reduction. So we can see here we have sort of an pseudocode of the algorithm and the different stages here where we are sorting the metrics based on their deviation, and we're also adding in a weight for configuration changes, and then we're adding that to the total weight to give us, in this case, the top 3 services that had the greatest deviation. So the top K, you can choose to be any value you want. And so we had experimented with a number of other ways to solve this problem. So it was most notably the inductive causation and PC algorithm. But we found that these approaches, not only did they give quite poor precision recall and F1 score, but they also did not scale very well. So we were looking for a much more simple approach to be able to identify the traces and topology that have deviated from past behavior. And we found that we were able to do that using standard deviation and also taking some configuration data into account. And we found that these were able to scale much better than the inductive causation approaches, even when they had a much larger sliding window. For metric causality results, we experimented with 4 different approaches. So this was Granger causality, dynamic time warping plus Granger causality, common lowest factor plus Granger causality, and rounding plus common lowest factor plus Granger causality. And we had 3 different data sets that we looked at. So on the left here, we have the ideal case where we have the same sampling rate and starting time. Then in the middle, we have the same sampling rate and a different starting time. And finally, we have different starting rates and different sampling times. And on the x-axis here, we vary the sampling rate. So at 50% sampling rate, one metric is sampled every 30 seconds and the other is sampled every 60 seconds. And then at 10%, one is sampled every 30 seconds and the other is every 300 seconds. So we can see here that metric causality or Granger causality on its own, it only works at 100% sampling rate because it assumes that the number of observations in each metrics are going to be the same. And so when that isn't met, we get to an MAP at 5 accuracy of 0. And so we can overcome this by using the dynamic time warping common lowest factor and the Granger plus common lowest factor. And we can see that all these achieve quite similar performance on this data set. Looking at the middle data set where we have a 1 second difference in start time and the same sampling rate, we can see here that the common lowest factor plus Granger doesn't work because there's going to be no common factors between these 2 data sets. And so we can see here that it and Granger get a MAP score of 0, while adding in a small amount of rounding here, where say we can round this to the nearest 10 seconds, allows us to achieve the same accuracy as the dynamic time warping. And then when we have 2 different sampling rates, we can see how we're able to achieve some accuracy using the common lowest factor plus Granger, but we're still have some issues when the sampling rate gets different between the 2 metrics. So if there's a large difference in sampling rates, then we get this fall off towards 0. But we can see how dynamic time warping and rounding plus common lowest factor are still able to achieve good performance. But one of the issues we have with dynamic time warping is that it doesn't scale very well. So we were able to achieve similar accuracy by using the rounding plus common lowest factor plus Granger causality. And we were also able to achieve the ability to scale to a lot more metrics in the same time frame. And this is important as we need to be able to go through each of those individual metrics because we might not be able to identify the root cause in time if we can only process, let's say, 10 metrics or something. So we need to have the ability to process a lot of metrics, which the rounding plus common lowest factor gives us. And finally, the metric reduction results. So we did this on 2 different data sets, which was an experimental setup and a simulated setup. So this was to evaluate our ability to identify the random and static metrics and to not interfere with the actual root cause. And so in our simulated environment, we were able to identify the 60% of random metrics and static metrics that we had injected, and we didn't interfere with the accuracy of the root cause analysis approach. So we were still able to achieve the 100% accuracy in identifying the root cause. And then for the experimental setup, we had production data that we'd gotten, and we'd found a lot of this data, in this case 93.4, was random and static metrics. And again, we found that this didn't interfere with identifying the actual root cause of the algorithm. And this leads to significant improvements in time when applying the Granger causality. So finally, the end-to-end results. We compared our approach against another state-of-the-art approach called Grano. And we can see that metric causality on its own was only able to achieve an MAP score of 0.65. And the reason for the lower MAP score is because so much of the metrics have to be processed to return the root cause in under 3 minutes, that sometimes it wouldn't be able to process all those metrics and return the root cause. But when we added topology reduction to metric causality, we were able to improve this to 0.93, and this was achieving better performance than the state-of-the-art Grano approach. And the metric reduction stage helped to further improve this to 0.96. So we can see here really the benefit of the multimodal root cause analysis approach, in that when we start combining different data sources, it gives us this improvement in performance of accuracy. We also evaluated the scalability of our algorithm in terms of time complexity and space complexity. And you can see here's the red line for linear scale, and our algorithm is the blue line for MMRCA. So both the space and time complexity scale logarithmically. And so we'd set a target of linear scale, and you can see we're able to be much better than linear scale. So the main conclusions from this presentation is that our algorithm has been able to achieve a high F1 score and MAP at 5 score while maintaining logarithmic time and space complexity. We achieved an F1 score of 0.97 and an MAP at 5 score of 0.96 on injected faults. And we plan to further test the RCA approach on Huawei production data. So we compared our approach against state-of-the-art approaches such as Grano, and showed that our approach is able to achieve improved accuracy while maintaining low resource usage. We also show the power of using multimodal data, as the accuracy of our approaches increases as we take different data sources into account. So for future work, we know that detecting the root cause of a problem is a step in having a self-healing system that can automatically respond to faults. So the next step after detecting the root cause is to apply a remediation action that can repair the fault. So we plan to research a reinforcement learning-based approach that can apply the appropriate remediation action to a fault to bring us closer to a fully healing system. We also plan to evaluate our RCA algorithm in a range of different production environments to evaluate the generalizability of our approach. And that is the presentation, and I will take any questions from you now.